through a convoluted series of events over on Versus Wolves, on the other podcast, I have now watched the first season of Twin Peaks, and I thought that was very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're right. Twin Peaks is always relevant.
yes, I can say now that with that, I've come to understand something that I don't think I understood in the past about when y'all would talk about it. And I kind of I felt this having watched and enjoyed Gravity Falls, but also not enjoying Deadly Premonition. I kind of was like, okay, Twin Peaks is 90% vibes, 10% answers.
So
Season 1.
what's your plan for the second season?
I'm still deciding because the takeaway ultimately is that the vibes at their like highest are warm and fuzzy and very like, it's got that cozy, that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right. It's got that whole thing to it. And it reminds me of how much I enjoyed watching my favorite old TV show, The Wonder Years. Right. The Wonder Years is just a cozy watch. It just feels good when it's on. And I get that that's kind of what you're sort of getting here in the middle of a whodunit that's not really about the who and the done it. But
like,
yeah,
I would describe that like melodrama isn't a strong enough word. I think I would characterize the emotional context of that first season as hyper drama. Like the very first shot is like you're smash cutting to people across the town, like crying. And the music is so fucking loud. It's crazy loud. Everyone is doing a scene in which they're like, I'm having the biggest emotion.
Yes. And everyone is being a late 80s actor. Like that. It feels of the time. It feels like, 1990 on point with that. Especially when you go to high school and you see all these 25-year-old high school kids.
Yeah, I'm clearly an actor model playing a teenager.
Just like... Yeah, like literally, like what if we took God, what's her name? Anyway, pinup model from the 50s and said, "You're a high school student. Go." You're right off of the artwork on the side of a missile, and like Audrey Hepburn or type of thing, like it's wild. But the overall bit with just the vibes elicited by the wood cabin, the mountains, the fresh air, the logs, and the old factory, the old mill. Everyone's cheating on everyone. Every relationship,
TV like level cheating.
All of that is there. And then when Lynch decides to lynch, which I fully expected there to be more of it, there was a surprising, like, it seems almost as if it was like, what if you let me lynch a little bit? And then I'm wondering if, like, after that Red Room shit, if people went, ooh, and he's like, oh, you like that? Oh, can I turn it up? Can I lean in?
The plan seemed to have always been to just boil
Mulholland Drive
network television audience in water slowly. Right? It's like turn it up until they were eventually watching nonsense.
Yeah.
But is it emotionally consistent? Yes. Even though the plot may be wild, just complete nonsense. What's happening?
Yeah. And so I think and I think it's for me, it kind of lands in this place where I do like when those vibes are like, again, when they're landing it at their best. But there's also times where I'm like, right, and this is the part where, like, as much as like there's those Lynch moments that I love, there's also the Lynch stuff that I hate, right? And and Wild at Heart is emblematic of all the Lynch stuff that I fucking hate.
Which one is that? Is that with James?
That's the one with Nick Cage,
Oh,
rolling through being Nick Cage, just being. It's weird because he can be a good actor sometimes depending on what the role is, but in this case, it's anyway. Fucking oof. But like,
so if you have an interest in the mechanics of television, so season 2 of Twin Peaks is 3 times as long.
yeah, it's like 22 episodes. I saw. I was like, oh, that's not an easy watch.
And it is fascinating from a perspective of the mechanics of putting out a TV show, because an indeterminate amount of episodes into the second season, David Lynch and Mark Frost walked, and the show went on without them, only for them to come back for the last couple of episodes.
Oh my god. Okay.
This
okay.
leads to like one of the strangest series of TV seasons ever, because you can see them leave the steering wheel.
Okay.
You can see them get out of the car.
Yeah. This is one of the term I'm going to use is like, there are times where something is so heavily weighted because of the history with like the channel and stuff that I have never felt more eyeballs in the room with me.
Oh yeah,
right, and so I know how heavy the expectation is, especially having from all the years of people asking me to play Deadly Premonition and stuff. So I know how weighted it is when I'm watching this, and I have to say that in the end, I was not grabbed and hooked and pulled in. I was.
I never thought you would be.
No, I was not.
It has a really incredibly specific aesthetic. And vibe and tone that is either enrapturing or merely interesting.
Yeah, I thought that yeah, as a relic of its time, it certainly is interesting. That cannot be denied. And parts of it are quite fun, and other parts are just like, okay, whatever. But for the most part, I didn't. There was nothing about it that I was like upset or angry at, or so. Like,
don't worry. If you watch that second season, there's shit in there that is like abject, awful television, just terrible.
What I will say is that I felt like I was watching a procedural with the sprinkles of Lynch in there for some bits and pieces, and whenever Cooper gets really weird, it's like, okay, we're lynching it up right now.
It's charming. It's idiosyncratic.
But there was an element of like, just following the procedural, I don't know that this would have stood out to me any more than any other thing on TV at the time, except for those little weirdisms, right? And like, it doesn't necessarily, if I was just catching it on TV, I wouldn't necessarily have been like, I'm locked in, I'm hooked, I'm coming right back in for it. And to be fair, I've seen random episodes of X-Files and like TNG where I'm like, what is happening here?
Those were so there's a lot about the second season and the third season and the production of Twin Peaks that is totally fascinating and super interesting to talk about, that we can't talk about because I don't know whether or not you're going to commit to watching the second season or commit to not watching the second season, like either or, right?
Yeah.
But X-Files was built to be Monster of the Week. X-Files was built to have a 20 episode season. Episodes 1 and 2 are aliens. Episodes 3 through 18 are vampires, werewolves, golems, trash monsters, etc. And then episodes 19 and 20 are aliens, so that you could run reruns on it, right?
Okay.
Twin Peaks was not made that way. Twin Peaks was explicitly made to be a consistent through-line narrative that was about a mystery. But the trick is that Lynch and Frost had no intention of ever solving that mystery at all.
Right.
And it was just an excuse to get you into the town and go on these labyrinthine nonsense side quests with these weirdo characters.
Just get some shit on the air. Absolutely. Yeah. And I kind of think, like, in terms of when I'm like, and I understand too that, like, because of that and because the vibes are so strong, that develops a very cult following, which then leads to a lot of things that are like, influencing or influenced by it, and you get your Gravity Falls and your Deadly Premonitions and everything else that comes from it, and I think, like, there are times where I want those things to go hand in hand, and I want the actual premise to also be satisfying. I felt like I enjoyed the characters in the world and all that in Gravity Falls. But another example of something that's like a quirky, quaint kind of thing, but also has a pretty enjoyable, through line. It's like Fargo, right?
Yeah.
Fargo is super quirky, and the location that they're in is a big part of like the camp and the enjoyment of the what's going on. But like but it's also a satisfying watch regardless of the location part of it and such. And here it's very, like I said, it's procedural, and then there's those bits. So those and when what's there outside of the charm of the town didn't stand out so strongly. I do have curiosity just because of the energy that is being exhibited by there's a reason why why fucking Swery decided to dedicate his life to making this thing. And
we've got Alan Wake, we've got Deadly Premonition, we've got Gravity Falls. Like everything that takes place in the Pacific Northwest now basically follows from Twin Peaks to some degree, except for Twilight, ironically enough.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. At Riverdale, I'm hearing as well has this kind of element to it too. So there is that curiosity behind ultimately like the reason why this is so beloved. But from what I can gather here, like I can sense that fish hook maybe I don't know, but
it was wrapped in plastic. Yeah, there's a branching set of conversations that we can have based off of whether or not you decide to watch the second season or not, or only watch the second season that includes Lynch and Frost's parts.
Interesting. Okay.
Or just watch the second season right up until it had a catastrophic ratings bomb.
Oh wow. Okay.
There is a moment in that second season that everyone just threw up their hands and stopped giving a shit worldwide.
Okay.
There was reportedly, I think it was Nikita Khrushchev was asking Reagan at one of their dinners, "Yo, so who killed Laura Palmer?"
Khrushchev? What? Yes. Russian fucking
it was a worldwide phenomenon.
Holy shit. Okay, wow. Well, that's wild.
Then something happens, and then the whole world just went, don't care anymore.
Okay. Well, what'll probably happen is I might just like curiosity watch a bit and then see how I feel,
Yeah.
That seems like a reasonable way
I
to
would
go
say
with it.
that even if it's not the kind of thing that you personally are like, I'm having a great time, its presence as a TV show that got utterly fucked up and released in the most bizarre way possible is interesting on its own, because Twin Peaks ended in 91 and it ends the second season on a cliffhanger and then got canceled.
Okay. So,
and like you live in a world in which there's a third season.
Yeah.
But for most of our lives, people would watch that second season. We're like, I cannot believe this.
Right. I do remember when all this noise was made about the return some time ago. The last little bit I'll say on it is that when it comes to leaning into like the absurdism and the wild elements of it too, like a good example of like when I'm way on board for that is Disco fucking Elysium. Your Inland Empire, right? And also a David Lynch movie, the like when you dial it up to that degree, but like, and there's a bunch of this in the book too, in Sacred and Terrible Air. When you dial it up to a degree so far that like you leave the realm we're currently in to just travel into another dimension.
Yeah, that's the third season.
But that
is like overtly the third season in Twin Peaks.
But there's a point and an emotional resonance or some kind of epiphany that you kind of pull out of that, right? Like in Disco, when those moments happen, like there, like, and the thing is, I know that there's a lot of debate behind the meanings of things and why they land these ways, because I've read the full discussion on Mulholland Drive / Dream, and like walked away going, okay, that's a lot deeper than my initial watching was, and I respect what it's going for, despite the fact that it's like completely incomprehensible without it. You do, like, if you have the text next to you as you watch the film, you can have a deeper understanding of that. I don't think Disco requires that of you, but like when you go on that journey and it spits you back out the other side, like the state the character is in and like what they feel adds a lot to the moment happening in reality, you know? And those are the times I'm really on board for the fucking conceptualization through the roof Inland Empire moments, you know? So if it leans into those, then that's good. But yeah, like
there are essentially 5 seasons of Twin Peaks, and it's season 1, first third of season 2, the middle, last third of season 2, and the third season. And they're all completely different.
And the other bit too is that like some of the Lynch that I know is also like some of the text and subtext you read requires external understanding of what's going on as well to some degree. Like there's moments in Mulholland DR where suddenly the characters are like basically like just there's a sudden scene where these two characters are like having this like it turns into like softcore porn almost for like a minute, and it's like, what happened? And then it switches back out, and it's like, well, that's the part of the movie that's homaging porn, because the movie's homaging a bunch of genres and porn is one of them.
Yeah, so hey, you don't have to worry about that with Twin Peaks, because there's no external anything.
It's all closed
it's
system.
all there.
It's all closed
and if
system.
you don't get it, watch it again, shut up. Like it's and if you don't understand, the point might have been for you to be confused.
Right, okay. Yes, you see, the film is called Mulholland Drive, but it also might be Mulholland Dream. Mulholland DR is the title, and you can read it many ways if you get into the... Yeah, don't be so close-minded. Up your stats.
Eraserhead is his most spiritual film.
Do you care to elaborate?
No. There was a different interview I saw where he was talking about, I think, The Return, and people always ask me what this means. I'm like, it's right there. It's in the movie. Watch it. That's what it means. You are watching the film.
Yeah.
Like he has no tolerance for like discussion or deconstruction of his work at all. It's like, I put it in the movie.
What did the duck mean when it walked by the orb and the PlayStation logo?
That
it meant PlayStation.
Dumbass.